कल 6 बजे वो कार्यक्रम होगा। जो भवन अब नया बना है, इसमें बहुत सी चीजें एक प्रकार की नई अभी आपको प्रेजेंटेशन में दिखाई जाएंगी। बहुत से रिफॉर्म्स इसके अंदर लाए गए हैं, क्योंकि जब नए भवन बन रहे हैं तो जो कठिनाइयां पहले आती थी, उन कठिनाइयों को कैसे दूर किया जाए, आज की टेक्नोलॉजी के हिसाब से, आज की आवश्यकता के हिसाब से उन सब चीजों का ध्यान रखा गया है। क्योंकि बहुत एक लिमिटेड एरिया में ये सारे भवन बने हैं, तो इसमें एक प्रकार से आने जाने का लोगों की जो सुविधा होगी, ईज ऑफ जैसे लिविंग, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, ऐसे ईज ऑफ पब्लिक, तो पब्लिक को भी इसमें सुविधा हो, सब लोग नजदीक नजदीक आ सकें और उसकी मूवमेंट जो है उसका टाइम घट सके, एफिशिएंसी ज्यादा आए। और डिजिटल इंडिया के नाते से भी जितनी आवश्यकताएं आज किसी कार्यालय को चलाने की होती है, खास करके जैसे अब पहले फिजिकल फाइल्स को इधर से उधर मूवमेंट होता था, अब ई ऑफिस बन रहे हैं, सभी ई ऑफिस का एक नेटवर्क, वो चूंकि सभी विभागों का एक सिस्टम बनता है, तो उसका एक मोर एफिशिएंट तरीके से उस डिजिटल सिस्टम को बनाया जाएगा, जिसमें कोऑर्डिनेशन आपस में अच्छा होगा और उसको मैनेज करने के लिए मोर प्रॉपरली इसको मैनेज कर पाएंगे। क्योंकि आज के इस डिजिटल सिस्टम को मैनेज करने के लिए विशेष तौर पर जहां तक सिक्योरिटी का विषय है, साइबर सिक्योरिटी भी अपने आप बहुत बड़ा विषय होता है, तो उस सिक्योरिटी के नाते से भी पूरे सिस्टम की सिक्योरिटी हो और ऐसे सब काम किए जाएंगे। कल का जो उद्घाटन, ये जो कर्तव्य भवन नंबर 3 है, इसमें जो एरिया है, आपकी जानकारी के लिए बता रहा हूं कि इसके अंदर 2 बेसमेंट हैं और उसके बाद ग्राउंड फ्लोर, ग्राउंड प्लस और प्लस 6 स्टोरीज, यानी ऐसे मिलाकर के सब मिलाए हम 2, 2, 4 और 6, 10, तो 10 तल हो जाते हैं। बेसमेंट पार्किंग के काम आएगी, जिसके अंदर 600 गाड़ियां, पजल पार्किंग जिसको कहते हैं, उस हिसाब से उनका स्थान होगा। और ऐसे ही ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर आगमन और उसके बाद रिसेप्शन, और बाद में कुछ विभाग अलग अलग जो रहेंगे, कुछ विभाग और कुछ स्टोरेज की व्यवस्था आदि जो आवश्यक होती है, वो ग्राउंड प्लस पर भी रहेगी। फिर तल नंबर 1 से लेकर के तल नंबर 6 तक विभिन्न मंत्रालय जो आने वाले हैं वो सब आएंगे। अभी इस भवन में जो मंत्रालय आने वाले हैं, होम अफेयर्स, एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स, रूरल डेवलपमेंट, एमएसएमई, डीओपीटी, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पेट्रोलियम एंड गैस, प्रिंसिपल साइंस एडवाइजर, इनका भी अपना एक कार्यालय होगा। लगभग 1,50,000 स्क्वायर मीटर एरिया इस भवन का और ये है, और जिसमें लगभग 850 कमरे सब बने हुए हैं। सब कमरों को एक विशेष रचना के अंतर्गत उनको क्रमांक दे दिए गए हैं। उस क्रमांक में आपको फ्लोर की जानकारी भी मिलेगी, उस क्रमांक में उस कमरे का नंबर भी मिलेगा, और भवन का नंबर हम अलग अलग दे ही रहे हैं। जैसे इसका भवन का नंबर है कर्तव्य भवन नंबर 3, तो एक भवन के नाम से इस कमरे का नाम नंबर बताते ही ये पता लग जाएगा कि इस व्यक्ति को कहाँ जाना है, कहाँ संपर्क करना है। इस प्रकार से उसकी सारी की रचना की गई है। और मैं समझता हूं कि एक मोटी मोटी जानकारी आपको बताई है। एक प्रेजेंटेशन हमारे सेक्रेटरी साहब श्री जी करेंगे, उसमें कुछ टेक्निकल चीजों की जानकारी भी है, और उसके बाद फिर आपसे प्रश्नों की जो भी कोई जानकारी आप लेना चाहेंगे उसके बारे में आपको बताएंगे।
वो प्रेजेंटेशन उस तरफ।
धन्यवाद सर। प्रेजेंटेशन पीछे है, तो आप क्या कैमरा बंद हो इस तरफ कर लेंगे या
थोड़ा बीच में खाली कर देंगे?
इसको कवर करेंगे। अच्छा, तो आप इस एक आमने सामने देख लेंगे। यू आर एबल टू सी, सो डू वी प्रोसीड?
ये सामने से हट कर,
बस आप इस तरफ से हट जाइए ताकि, हाँ
ऐसे ही वहां उधर से भी
थोड़ा जगह कर दीजिए। Can we start? Thank you, friends. Warm welcome to all of you to this curtain raiser. माननीय मंत्री जी मनोहर लाल जी और आप सभी के उपस्थिति में आज मैं कर्तव्य भवन 3 का जो कर्टन रेजर होने जा रही है, इसके बारे में मैं एक प्रस्तुतिकरण करना चाहूंगा। इसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट अगर हम सेट करें, so this entire Central Secretariat complex is being built around the Kartavya Path, along the Kartavya Path, and it brings in efficiency, coherence and integration of government infrastructure so that it is a framework which is a shared framework which will support collaboration, formal hierarchies and the evolving patterns of governance. Now this is a very important context because what we are seeking to achieve and what we are going to witness from tomorrow onwards is this important change and adaptation that is happening in the administrative framework and the governance architecture of the Central Secretariat. Next please. Friends, as we are aware, we have been working out of buildings that are very old. Infrastructure was also aging. As Honorable Minister mentioned, many of our older buildings date back to around 50s. Some of the main secretariat, old secretariat buildings such as the North Block and South Block go back nearly a century. The construction began in 1917, completed in 1931. So the infrastructure is very aging. Even buildings such as Shastri Bhavan, Krishi Bhavan, Udyog Bhavan were built around 60s. So now they are well past their life period. So the government offices, the staff were functioning in suboptimal conditions. The cost of maintaining these buildings and the operational cost was also very high. The space constraints were very high, including, if some of you were witness, there was a time when I used to work in the DOPT and it used to rain. The upper floor, sometimes there would be water leaking and you would have even seen staff sitting with umbrellas open. It used to be as bad as that. Now the entire shift to modern environment, better working conditions is happening. Next please. As the Minister has mentioned, there is a shift in emphasis in bringing in concepts of democratization, co-ownership, shared vision and shifting of that emphasis from statehood, that is Rajpath, to Kartavya Path, which is citizenship. How do we as citizens of a proud independent nation contribute to the making of a resolute and a strong India? And this is also the cultural and the civic reorientation that is happening. Along the Kartavya Path, which you would be visualizing even as you walk there, the entire esplanade has been changed. Yet more and more citizens now are able to access. Vast areas of greens have been made open and made available to the public. So this is the entire Kartavya Path project that was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister a couple of years back. Next please. Friends, this entire shift of emphasis is on bringing about modernization. As you are aware, how well we organize our workspace contributes to how well we can actually work. So the administrative modernization is a part of the larger set of governance reforms. A very important part of it, of course, is the physical infrastructure. The other aspects, such as the soft parts of it, including Mission Karma Yogi and others, are the other dimension. In addition to that, making the workspaces more functionally efficient, more integrated through the digital governance frameworks, e-office and other such digital India initiatives, as Honorable Minister mentioned, is one of the core elements of this particular project. In addition, you'll also find that this project is designed in a manner that the entire infrastructure is owned commonly. It is a co-owned spaces. All the infrastructure is also co-owned, and the maintenance architecture, the maintenance arrangements are also in a way that it is shared. This not only brings about a reduction in cost, improvement of efficiency, it also brings in a lot of inter-ministerial coordination. And to that extent, this entire building that you have witnessed, even as you are coming in, is designed around these principles of collaboration and coordination. In addition, it is very designed in a manner to enable easy and seamless access to the people, so that the people who need to come to the Secretariat, stakeholders who need to come and participate in the discussions here, find it not only accessible but also they are able to come in seamlessly. And to that extent, on the Kartavya Path, mass mobility infrastructure is also being constructed, including extension of the Delhi Metro network system. I will explain that as we go forward. In addition, when we talk about accessibility, we also need to be cognizant that there are many important sections of our population that need special support for accessing the physical spaces. All of that has been provided. You'll find even lifts have the braille marking. Also auditory signals and so on. Next, please. Friends, this is the entire Central Vista master plan. I will spend a minute on it. Kindly have go towards the left side. The green large space to the left is the ridge area. In the front is the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where you find that cross kind of a structure. And as we go down, and we are now going past the Raisina Hill on both the left side and the right side, you are finding the north block and the south block. As we go down further, we see the Vijay Chowk. To the right, you are able to see a kind of a quadrangle to the right. To the left is the quadrangle which comprises the Parliament complex, the old Parliament and the new Parliament. The new quadrangle on this side is the new executive enclave. You come down the Kartavya Path, the straight narrow esplanade. To the left you are seeing CCS 4 and 5, which this space is currently occupied by Shastri Bhavan and Krishi Bhavan. These buildings are under, we are tendering, they are under redesign and demolition and reconstruction. The newly constructed buildings are going to be called 4 and 5. Opposite that are the existing Udyog Bhavan and the Nirman Bhavan. These buildings are also undergoing reconstruction in a matter of 2 months. So as we go down further, we are now coming to Janpath, where we are currently, and to the left is the National Archives, again an old Lutyens Baker building. Opposite that is the first of the Central Secretariat buildings. CCS 3, where we are currently seated, is the first of the 3 buildings, 3, 2 and 1. Opposite that is the National Museum. You can see across the greens, and along that you will find another building under construction, which is being constructed on what used to be the earlier Vice President Enclave as well as the Vigyan Bhavan annexing. So this is another building that is already under construction. I think the delivery of this particular building will happen by next year. So this is an equally large building which will accommodate close to around 7,500 staff. Now coming back to the Kartavya Path, the Central Vista, as we walk down further, to the left you will find a small triangle with a small building called CCS 10. As Honorable Minister had mentioned, the buildings are numbered 1 to 10. So it is Kartavya Bhavan 1 to 10. So that is also under construction. This is expected to be ready for use in April of next year. We go slightly ahead. This is the famous C hexagon where the India Gate complex is located. So this entire vista and this architecture is also now connected, and in a very short time we will be seeing that work starting with the extension of the Delhi metro system from the Indraprastha side. So this entire network is going to flow, connect all the Secretariat buildings, connect the North Block and the South Block, which again, as you know, is a very, very epochal project that is coming up, and finally gets connected, I will show it later, with the Shivaji Stadium, so that this entire mass mobility infrastructure will enable a citizen to come to the Central Secretariat on a metro system or on a bus, so that he or she doesn't need to take any of his own private transportation. Next, please. This is a view of the new Central Secretariat complex when we see it from the Vijay Chowk side. To the left you are seeing the Railway Bhavan. To the right, closest to us, is the Vayu Sena Bhavan. And as we go forward, the buildings that I described earlier, the new building that is coming up on the left side will replace the Krishi Bhavan and the Shastri Bhavan. The building on the right will replace the Udyog Bhavan and the Nirman Bhavan. Going further down to the left, you will find the National Archives, and then CCS 3, which is the Kartavya Bhavan 3, 2, 1. Opposite side is the new building that is already under construction, as I had mentioned. And a few buildings are currently proposed to be retained as they are, which are the National Museum, the National Archives, the Ministry of External Affairs Jawaharlal Nehru Bhavan, and to the left the Dr. Ambedkar Auditorium. All those buildings are new. They are going to be retained as it is. Going further down, the Vanijya Bhavan, which is also a new building, is going to be retained as it is. So this, in short, is the new Central Secretariat complex called the Kartavya Bhavan complex. So the titles there explain what are under construction, what are at planning and design stage. But I would like to, on behalf of the Honorable Minister, he has been a great source of inspiration, like to assure all of you that this entire complex will be under construction by December 31st. Each and every building will be under construction, and it is we have adopted modern construction technologies. So we are planning that the entire construction time is around 20 to 22 months, so that in the most proximate time we complete the entire project. Next, please. Kartavya Bhavan 3, Honorable Minister has already mentioned, the plinth area is 1,50,000 square meters. Basement is 40,000 square meters. There are two basements with a ground floor, upper ground with the mezzanine, which functions both for accommodating staff as well as records and others, plus 6 floors. You will notice here that the parking is made, arrangements are for 600 cars, dedicated parking. The idea is, to the extent possible, everybody should be able to come seamlessly through the public mass mobility infrastructure. We don't have to bring personal vehicles. One of the big problems that many of you would have experienced, and we all are aware, that even take a place like the C hexagon, we did a traffic study, close to around 80,000 vehicles cross the C hexagon only to go from one point to the other without any necessary connection with activity going on the Kartavya path. So we are taking measures to redesign this entire transit movement and provide the larger transportation architecture to enable ease of movement, highest facilities, enable staff who are currently also moving to the new GPRA complexes to come to the places of work in the shortest time span. Today, on an average, a staff member takes about 50 to 60 minutes, even if he is living in the central zone. And by and large, we find that a lot of staff also uses the metro, which means they are coming from beyond. They will be able to use more and more. So the emphasis is on ensuring more mass mobility, ensuring more the public transportation system, reduction of private vehicles. Therefore, to that extent, we are much more climate compliant. The configuration of the work halls and the cabins are extremely standardized, and as Honorable Minister has said, these current 3-1 buildings are also designed, they are accommodating currently more spaces and more ministries, because we wanted to find the space to be able to quickly build and then expand. So there will be a reconfiguration of buildings and ministries that will happen after 2 years. But currently all of them have been accommodated in the most comfortable manner. The typology is standard for each level, whether it is a work hall level, the hierarchical level, whether it is a deputy secretary, whether it is a joint secretary, whether it is a secretary. The entire typology is standardized so that everybody gets similarly.
And even ministers and
yes, sir. MOSs. So there is absolutely standard. There is no variation, so that it becomes fungible. Then the operations become so much more easy in case we have to shift and all. So the idea that government is a process where everybody can participate, there is no necessarily some kind of a uniqueness to certain things, is also avoided. So this is the in short the design philosophy. Next, please. There are a lot of facilities. Now we know that increasingly our workforce is not only young, large. I think the close to around 30-40% of our workforce now consists of ladies, and naturally there is a need for creches. There is a great emphasis on wellness at work. So therefore there are spaces such as a yoga room, a medical room. The kitchen and the multi-purpose hall and the cafeteria are also designed very uniquely. In fact, you would have noticed that most ministries, most offices, everybody tends to take care of their own services and entertainment and refreshment on their own. Now we are replacing that with the commonly provided service providers. so that each department, each ministry does not have to create its own cafeteria, create its own canteen structure, creates its own serving staff, so that not only do they occupy and take up spaces, it becomes very inefficient. So it would be possible for these workspaces to become much more modern in terms of their process. So these are the common facilities. Each building has 24 main conference rooms. This is one such which has a 45 capacity, and I think close to 75-80 of us are sitting with great comfort here. So which means if needed we'll be able to expand that. Adjacent to this corner conference room is a smaller conference room which has a 25 capacity. Most of these have been allotted to each department for their own uses. In the work halls, as you would have walked, you would have noticed, the work hall is a very well modulated, well designed modular structure with a lot of access to air, light, natural light. But in addition, each work hall space also has its own meeting rooms, so that the smaller meeting rooms where the staff can meet, finish their function, and without having to walk too long, less than 10, 15, 20 feet, they'll be able to go back to their tables. So these are 67 meeting rooms. The corners of the building, which is each of the building is a rectangular building, there are 27 lifts, fast lifts. The whole building is centrally air conditioned, typically maintained at 24 degrees, so that we are maintaining working efficiency. And the escalators also, which are at the ground floor level, enable public access to the public transportation infrastructure. As I was mentioning, the metro system that would come in and the other public access that would come in, including ability to cross the lawns and greens, go on to the other side, would also be available at this level. So you can go down the escalator without having to exit the building, especially on the Kartavya Path side at the surface level, and access the other side of the Kartavya Path. Next please. The buildings have been designed to be extremely sustainable with high degree of environmental and safety and security standards. Next please. This is a Griha 4 rated building. We have tried to ensure, that through the glazing, there's a double glazing, which means the heating would also be reduced. There is thermal insulation, reduction of noise would take place, and there would also be minimized condensation. Inside, the lighting is also energy efficient LED lighting, and the sensors are also deployed so that there is no unnecessary lights that turn on if there is no occupancy. So there are occupancy sensors which turn on and turn off the lights. There are daylight sensors to also ensure that certain lights are shut down automatically. The integrated building management system, we will show you some pictures as we go ahead, enables us to maintain this building, all the other buildings, and eventually the entire Secretariat Kartavya Path precinct from a centralized control system. Some of you might be aware there is an institutional arrangement also. There is an officer who is designated as Chief Executive Officer of the Kartavya Path. He is on the rank of Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Housing. So he collaborates with CPWD, collaborates with the local police, coordinates all of these functions, and ensures that going forward processes will be put in place so that the entire complex and the precinct is run in a very efficient manner. So the IBMS works towards that. In addition, it also enables optimal utilization of energy so that the energy loads are kept at a minimum. Lifts are also designed with a regenerative drive so that energy recovery takes place on a braking and a deceleration basis. Similarly, we have over-deck insulation using a 80 mm POF so that we reduce the heat loads. Air insulation is there behind the stone cladding to reduce the heat loads again. The air conditioning system is of a variable frequency drive which provides air conditioning depending upon the specific required load. Heat recovery system also enables utilization of waste energy from the exhaust air. Further, it's very important to ensure that the ambient conditions are very healthy. There is a fresh air intake that takes place, so we are constantly monitoring the carbon dioxide levels so that the healthy work environment is also maintained. Basement level ventilation system is also there, which kicks in only when the CO2 levels drops in below the acceptable limits. Next please. Security features are very elaborate because this is one of the most important and most sensitive parts of the government apparatus, and therefore not only CCTV indoor-outdoor controls but ID Act-based access control systems to ensure both free and smooth movements for officials and visitors. There is an integrated electronic security gadget systems that are being kept, such as DMFP, X-ray baggages, under-vehicle scanning systems, boom barriers, vehicle lockers. You might have seen some of these technologies at work as you came in. In addition, there is a power fence also for perimeter security, and there is this integrated command and control center for the entire Central Vista and the Secretariat complex area, which would enable us to respond to any kind of maintenance, to any kind of an emergency requirement. Next, please. The safety features also are latest. We have ensured that the latest fire safety measures are introduced. The automatic fire detection and suppression system has been installed, and the interiors are also resistant to fire, including certain doors and gypsum finishes. Next. The renewable energy for these buildings are also designed. Currently, we are looking at rooftop solar regeneration at 366, generating over 5.34 lakhs of units annually. The additional solar capacity potential of the rooftop of security building is about 200 kilowatts. Solar water heating system also meets 26% of our daily hot water requirement. Next, please. We have taken measures to ensure that we are utilizing as little water, extra water as needed. Naturally, with this kind of a human load and a footfall, water consumption will take place. However, this has been designed on a zero discharge basis, so that the wastewater is treated and reused multiple times. So a reuse of close to 1.1 million liters per day is treated as wastewater. That is 60% of the total demand is being met by the reused water. Rainwater harvesting of 740 KLD is also being treated and reused for potable purposes. In order that the flushing operations are efficient, we have dual plumbing. Horticulture irrigation is happening with the technology. Low flow taps, sanitary fixtures, sensor-based urinals, wash basins, and the drinking water fountains, which we find in many of the modern buildings, have also been deployed, so that we don't have problem of running taps, and we'll be able to utilize only that amount of water that is needed to be consumed. Next, please. Solid waste management system also is in-house, and it is designed in such a manner that all the solid waste gets converted into useful manure. On a daily basis, we expect that this building alone will be processing about 1,000 kilos of organic waste. Next, please. Vehicles, as I mentioned, Honorable Minister also mentioned that we have a puzzle parking system in the basement, where 324 cars will be located. They've already been assigned by official designation and by the ministry, so that all the vehicles are kept off the main level, and then slowly, of course, that discipline and familiarity with operations has to come in. There's a parking guidance system so that there's a smooth navigation of the vehicles. And in order to support the entire electric mobility architecture, 120 electrical vehicle charging points are also provided, which will charge close to 650 vehicles. Next, please. This building is also built on the use of sustainable material. Lot of recycled construction and demolition waste has been used here. Lot of lightweight dry partition walls were used for the partitioning of the interior spaces to save conventional bricks, save topsoil, and also reduce the weight of the building. Low VOC paints and chemicals have been used. The toilets themselves are very interesting. We have brought factory constructed pods. So the entire toilet has been brought in and inserted. The entire unit is an inserted unit, so that it is also, first of all, factory finished, but it is also smooth in terms of plumbing, and it becomes efficient in its operations. And finally, we have fully modular dry stone cladding, which you see outside, which brings in a distinct outlook and to the external architecture. Next, please. Next, please. This, friends, is the atrium. You would have observed it. It is an atrium that is designed to not only cool the building from inside. A lot of the staff, lot of the ministerial offices would also be getting indirect light from this atrium. It also reduces the entire the cooling requirements of the building, and at the same time enables fresh air to come in. This is again, as some of you would be familiar, this design resembles the Stein design at the India Habitat Center. So it's a very, very beautiful design. It creates a very ambient working conditions and the living condition, and a lot of the cafeteria areas look out onto these areas. So we do expect, as these buildings become more and more used, one would imagine that staff and other visitors would perhaps like to go out there also and have their afternoon lunches. Next, please. This is the lift lobby that you have experienced yourself, where the bay of lifts are there. So there are 4 such lobbies on the 4 corners, and it provides easy access and direct connection to all the departments that have been located. I must at this point mention a small confidence. We were guided by the Honorable Minister in the nomenclature of the rooms. You will find it is very unique, and for the entire Kartavya Path, the new Central Secretariat complex, by looking at the number, you will be able to make out where this room is located, what floor it is located at, and which wing. So, for example, if you step out, you will find Kartavya Bhavan number 3, so 3, floor 1, it is 1004. So you would know, let us say, if I am not familiar with Delhi, not familiar with the Central Secretariat, and I have a visiting card which says, okay, Joint Secretary so-and-so, 72402. So how would you know? So it's almost like a QR code or a referencing system. So you'll know building number 7, that is Kartavya Bhavan number 7, floor number 2, and it's in that particular wing, and you'll be able to go straight without having to ask anybody to search where it is. So I must fully thank the Honorable Minister. This was a brilliant intervention, and this has really worked very well. Next, please. This is a typical work hall. On the longitudinal side, these work halls are much longer, I think close to around 200 odd meters, 240. 110. Huge, long. And on the shorter side, it is much shorter, but you will notice that the furniture and the design is very, very modular. Whether it is an assistant section officer or a section officer who are sitting there, you'll find that they will be able to place their desktop right there. The whole thing is connected with network printers and scanners. So currently when you go, because that infrastructure, they're still getting used to it, so some of the legacy printers, etc., you might find on the tables, but in a very few days you'll not find them. So this is the way the next gen modern office is going to function. So staff and officers who have to function out of here have adequate table space. They have enough personal space to keep their private material, including their bags and tiffins and things like that. If you go to the left, it's not very visible, but the picture on the left, the farthest end of that picture